Okay, so we're called order. We'll wait for a few minutes. We'll just wait and hear the reports from Rob and Keith. Rob, go ahead.
Good morning and happy Wednesday to everyone. Rob Earhart with the county's Economic Development Group. Just a brief reminder that the VMA Showcase is being held in the city of Daytona Beach today at the ICI Center at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. As the News Journal reported this morning, the attendance is expected to be fabulous. It's a great opportunity to remind ourselves what a great industry we have for manufacturers here in Volusia County. Labor market statistics are due out this Friday, so looking forward to seeing what those numbers look like. Currently at 7.3% unemployment in the county. I'm assuming Keith will talk a little bit more about it, but the city of Daytona Beach, the county of Volusia, and Team Volusia EDC all contributed to an event that's going to take place next week, and that's the Symetra Tour Championship. And Team Volusia has been working hard to help raise some visibility in the community at that event. Dr. Johnson, just in case you're aware or interested, I should say, Dr. Johnson from Embry-Riddle will be making a presentation on the next-gen technology and the facility. That will take place, I think it's sponsored by the Daytona Regional Chamber. It'll take place at LPGA next week, September 26th. We are currently preparing to launch a second year of Executive Roundtable. County Council recently approved some funding to put toward that, and we're looking to work with one of our collaborative partners here in the ecosystem to facilitate that event pending approval of their board. SBDC is going to be facilitating a seminar on the 10th of October at the Ag Center entitled Growing Farm Profits. The Ag Center came to us earlier in the year and asked, is there a way to assist business owners of agricultural businesses? We talked about a lot of ideas, and it seemed to center primarily on their need to better develop their business plan, and so that'll be the focus of this event. If you know anybody in the ag industry that has an interest in growing their business, this would be a great opportunity for them to attend. And finally, we're all aware of the significant expansion that Teledyne has been enjoying here in the city of Daytona Beach on South Williamson. They have occupied their new 50,000 square foot R&D/headquarters facility, and it's our understanding that they're going to host a grand opening event on October 15th. So I'll be working with Emory to make sure that we understand everybody that can and should be invited to that. We have a meeting later this week with some of the principals at the company to round out that VIP invite list. So that's my report. Thank you.
The Economic Development Advisory Board will be invited to that event.
Okay, good. Do we have formal invitations or just email?
I don't know.
You never bought my email now.
Yes, I changed it.
Yeah, good. Okay, Keith, how are things going over in the world of Team Volusia?
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to report. We have a lot of activity, increased activity, as many of you have read our newsletters. But I'm proud to say that as of September 13th, we have 52 projects that we're working on. That's compared to 14 this time last year. And that really has been brought about by a very direct and strategic approach for outreach. A lot of those projects are self-generated by Team Volusia and some of our partners. So the exciting thing is we have 11 projects that have visited Volusia County and 4 projects that are in negotiation right now, including sectors of manufacturing, financial, customer support, office, and then entertainment. The entertainment projects are looking in Daytona Beach on a location off of I-95, so we're excited about that. And so we will keep you informed of those projects as they do mature. We would hope for some announcements at the end of this quarter or the early next quarter. of those projects. And as you know, all of our outreach activities, which we have increased dramatically to this year, we'll have 34 outreach activities. And those are planned solely to generate leads, to place them in the pipeline. So we're excited about that. Also, we had the Canadian Office of Enterprise Florida visit with us recently, and they toured windshield tours and met many folks throughout the county. They were very impressed. We linked them up with Embry-Riddle. As many of you know, Montreal is the third most successful city in aerospace and aviation in the world, coming behind Toulouse, France, in Seattle, Washington. So the connection that Embry-Riddle and Dr. Rod Casto had with the Montreal office was great, and we would hope some synergies between, of course, Team Volusia, the county, and the Canadian Office of Enterprise Florida, and, of course, Embry-Riddle. We had recent events and activities in New York based around a site location team Florida mission, and then we will be leaving next week for Atlanta for another Team Florida mission. As I mentioned in my board meeting Friday, these activities are great in that communities around Florida, select communities, are invited to participate to host sometimes as many as 40 site location consultants in a suite. Now, and you have these folks with you for 4 hours. So no way could you ever get a face-to-face appointment for 4 hours. I've tried, but people will leave the office when I'm there. But it's a great opportunity to raise Volusia County and to work as a team member of Florida. But as you know, many of the activities this year were direct Team Volusia missions, face-to-face missions with C-level executives in their offices, company owners, and then site location consultants. And just an example of a site location consultant, this is a person that a company, a sometimes large company, qualified company because of the fees associated with the project, will hire to identify suitable locations for an expansion or relocation. So it's important that we get in front of those people really before a project arrives, so that if a company hires them, they can say, gosh, have you thought about Volusia County? You may be thinking about Tampa, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Savannah, but you might want to think about Volusia County because of the assets that we disclose to them at our face-to-face meetings. An example would be a McCallum Sweeney who was hired by Hertz. McCallum Sweeney, I actually visited April 28th in Greenville, South Carolina, shortly before the Hertz project was announced for Southwest Florida. There was a tie there for Hertz because the chairman happened to live in Naples part-time, so it would be hard to defend an East Coast location, but that project came up with 700 jobs at an average of $100,000 each of the 700 jobs. So
And for that, you get a bottom of house when you're on the ocean.
exactly, or maybe two. So
Yeah, I mean, you know.
that has been used before in my career, not by me, but I have seen communities do that. But it is important for us to get in front of these folks. And then, of course, we also direct our activities to industry-specific trade shows. The trade shows are important because what we do is make appointments with the folks at the trade show. We don't walk in without appointments. We don't drop business cards all around at the booths without a pre-scheduled appointment. So we are very focused on our outreach. I'm pleased to say that last week I went in front of the county council, and they, our contract was originally 3 years, and then it was extended to 5 years with annual reviews, and they approved our funding for this next fiscal year. So we're excited about that, and it looks as if we're getting many of our public partners on board. They're still voting, as we know, and I think Daytona Beach will vote on their budget tonight. But we have already approvals by about half of the cities that we have, and may bring Holly Hill back to us. They had dropped out last year because of budget cuts. So excited where we are. Last week, we brought in Boyette Strategic Advisors. They are doing site assessments for West Volusia and 4 cities in West Volusia. They would hope to have their findings and recommendations at the November board meeting, but we very much hope that we will, in the 2014 budget, which will be approved in December, do the same thing for East Volusia cities. So that they can come in, look at our sites or things that the city identify, and then from a third-party view, from a national consulting view, determine the strategy that we should use to market those sites. But thank you. Any questions? I'm happy to respond to.
Any questions from the board? I've got 2. One's easy, the other's tough.
Okay.
The easy one is, do you ever take folks from the community on these junkets? We used to take folks up to Chicago to McCormick Place and different
We have,
places,
and we opened that up to our investor community, particularly trade shows is a very, very effective thing to open up to our partners. And in fact, in January, Robin King with the Center of Business Excellence and Bob Turk with the City of DeLand went. I would hope for future activities to open up some of the missions to interested party. When you're having a one-on-one, face-to-face meeting, it's very difficult to bring in 2 or 3 people into the meeting, just because then it appears that we would be gaining up on them for a one-to-one meeting. But on trade shows or missions or events, very
yeah,
much
that's
so.
what I say by trade shows especially. It's,
Very much so.
You got a ton of room there. McCormick Place was at that time about 3 million square feet.
Oh, it was. We needed all the help we could get.
You could go through there a day and not even hit a third.
And that's what's so helpful when we bring strategic partners with us, and partners, because then we can divide and conquer. It's, a large trade show like that appears in Jacob Javits in New York or McCormick Place in Chicago. Sometimes there are 2 to 3 buildings, and there's no way that Team Volusia with 2 people could cover the entire show. So I very much we have offered that out for our trade shows, and I would hope in the future that we will have next year missions or events around missions, our own, that we could invite our stakeholders and our investor community.
Did Ruth give it?
Yes, Ruth.
This might not be your area of concern, but I have seen some articles in the paper about the lack of skilled workmen for some manufacturing. Have you been able to make any contact with the educational community that maybe they can offer classes that...
When we do have a visit, we always include ATC as an example of how we can train the workforce, as well as talk about our wonderful career academies to promote manufacturing in the school system so that everyone doesn't have to go to a college. It is something that's looked at. Our manufacturing sector, that was in the newspaper, some of our manufacturers were having difficulty locating CNC operators and other type of manufacturing jobs, but that is pretty much a national factor in certain sectors like IT or welders. That's pretty much a national factor to have a lack of welders or sometimes CNC operators until you get to the large manufacturing centers of the country.
If I could just add to that, specific to manufacturing and specific to the education sector, it was almost a year ago that this challenge became very apparent in our community, and so we, in concert with the Center for Business Excellence and Daytona State College, especially their Center for Business and Industry, who brought in the ATC Advanced Technology Center under Mary Bruno's leadership, put together a team to form a program that would begin to address this problem. And I say begin to address because the need at that time, as identified by the manufacturers that were telling us they had the need, was they were seeking level 2 and level 3 CNC operators. Well, to get to level 2 or 3 requires you to have 5, 6, 7 years experience on some of these 5 and 7 axis CNC machines. And so clearly we couldn't, quote, develop that talent, end of quote, at that level of expertise. However, we could start to build a pipeline of people that could be trained by these companies and over time through their own in-house training capabilities eventually lead to that. So there's a very active program right now. You might consider having someone from the college come and give you some insight or details on that.
Have you spoken with a man named David Fitzgerald? He was doing some program out at the Daytona State College.
I have not, but,
I will see if I can get you the number, if I can have your number.
oh, that's great. I'll hand you my business card at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
And then, and I believe Rob, just to continue my report, mentioned that we are very proud sponsors of the LPGA Symetra Tour. And in order to do that, to justify it, we had to I wanted to invite people here. You know, it's always great to go to their offices, to go to Chicago or New York and meet them face to face. But the real beauty is to invite them back so they can see firsthand the qualities that we have here in Volusia County. So we have two very well-known consultants coming in, a prospect, and then two senior leaders of Enterprise Florida. So we'll have 5, and we're working on a 6th right now to be here for the LPGA first part of the week for the Pro-Am. But
Will we stay on for the Monday Pro-Am at the end?
the end of the week, no, unfortunately.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yes, which is
Okay,
which.
Carol and I volunteer to play.
Are you a player?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, she's absolutely, she's been the reigning women's champ out at the LPGA for the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, you know, I'm new to Volusia County, so
Don't
I
play
wouldn't.
with her. Oh, yeah. And how much money did you have to pay her?
Give you two a hole. Be competitive.
I hear the Monday event at the end is the, you know,
That's the
is
big-
really the
that's big
highlight.
thing for the people to be able to, really see what's going on. The event itself is next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
So when are they going to be able to come in and?
They're actually coming in Monday night, business on Tuesday, and they're actually playing with the players
On Wednesday?
on Wednesday.
Okay.
And the unfortunate thing, these are busy business people, so I invited them for a much longer time, but they really had a lot of interest playing with the professional players.
Well, Monday is also, the pros are hanging around to play as well, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We'll see if anyone comes in early.
But yeah, and then
Yep.
Tuesday night is over at the, so if you take them to the,
We are. That's one of the featured events.
good, good.
And if you see a boat out on the Halifax River, that's going to be us. We had difficulty getting a large boat, so we're going to be on a 30-foot pontoon boat, but we'll do our best. So.
Let's just hope the wind's not like it is now.
Exactly. That's what I was looking up
It's a
at the
really good
sky.
showcase for the whole area.
And we would prefer, our whole purpose when we go out across the country and internationally is we always invite them to come and take a look, because it's hard for us
Right.
to describe what we have, even if we use pictures or websites. They need to come here, kick the dirt, meet the leadership, meet all of you. I'm the paid salesman for Volusia County, so we look forward to next week.
I mentioned I was going to have a hard question.
Yeah, what's the hard question?
The hard question is this, and Brother Hood down there will probably, some of his memory banks would come in. I really believe that the Volusia County Council is being very short-sighted by giving you, quote-unquote, another year. And the question is, when you get something like that, is it, I know that the prospects, they probably take the digital news journal. so it shows up. How, has that shown up yet in any of your negotiations or anything like that? Because that can be really difficult to work through if the one of the founding organizations of your organisms of your organization doesn't show 150% backing.
Well, it hasn't shown up. It has a little bit locally just because of the local coverage. It hasn't come up
It makes it harder to go out and get money from stakeholders.
nationally. Now, we're doing well. It hasn't. We really had, at the board meeting, and Larry, you were at that, we had the private sector that really is engaged with our organization. That's why the county invested in it, and their investment 3 years ago was so that the other cities would come to the table and the private sector would come to the table. This past year, we brought in 8 new private sector investors. We lost very few investors by attrition other than things caused by the recession. So we're full speed ahead. We have all the colleges and universities as board members. We're at 51% if you include the private sector and the institutions of higher learning, and then 49% government. The cities, as I mentioned, all appear to be completely behind us. I think the county, because it was originally a 3-year contract and it was extended 2 more years, because we had a slow start for various reasons, that is what's penalizing us in that I haven't even been here a year. I started October 1st and I hope to have a big anniversary party. Maybe Rob, you could throw that for me. But anyway, that's the problem. If we had had more activity, if there hadn't been a downturn in the economy, I don't think you would have seen that the 1 more year. But it is a 1 year. What people tend to not, I took it as a positive meeting. I'm serious because it was, we're giving you another year. We have to look at this annually. So I didn't take it as a negative. And their statement really was, we expect results, as the city of Daytona Beach does, all of our cities, all of our private sector investors. So it wasn't in any way, it wasn't, in my estimation, cast as a negative. It was more, we're going to look at it another year. We would expect for you to produce. And with this pipeline we could not work any harder. So, I know that we will achieve success this coming year. So it wasn't a really negative meeting for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that.
I think we can take the roll call.
Oh,
We got to roll back.
Oh,
We
did I
didn't have
miss
a
that?
quorum, so we were just taking reports.
okay.
Thomas Blond has called, he's excused. Tim Davis, I haven't heard from Tim. Phil Ellinger called, he's excused. Carol Killian,
Here.
Larry McDermott,
Here.
Ruth Traeger,
Here.
Bishop Derek Triplett.
Here.
Okay.
We have a quorum.
All right. So now we can do regular business, approval of the minutes. Anybody read through the minutes? I know if you read through the minutes, Carol.
I did, yeah.
Carol's a minute reader.
I wasn't here last time because I was out of town, so I did read all of it, and it sounds pretty good to me. The brownfield, I'm glad that we're back up to speed on some of the brownfield stuff. So, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? You got the reports out of the way. Mr. Hood, you're up.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thanks for your patience as we're.
Good morning. I'm David Hood. I appreciate your time. I'm here on behalf of the Abdul Hazen family, which is an African-American family that has invested $30 million in our community in the last 4 or 5 years. They've done it by taking that dog property, which was known as the Inn on the Beach, and made it the Holiday Inn and Resort. They've taken the old property called the Ocean Sands and made it a Hampton Inn. And they've taken the old Econo Lodge and have cleaned it up and fixed it up. We're here today because they are toying with the concept of doing something with the Desert Inn. Everybody in the room, I understand, would know the infamous Desert Inn. But I've been in the meetings with the family, and the African-American family really is questioning whether they want to put any more money in this community because they put a lot of money in this community. But if we get the tax abatement, they're going to put $30 million into this property. The payroll is going to be 4 times what the payroll is now. It'll be a $2.7 million payroll per year. And they're looking here for the tax abatement. And it'll bring 2 flags. The 2 flags that they're looking at, we can't disclose, but it'll be a new flag, whichever one it is. It'll be a flag that currently doesn't exist in the Daytona Beach area. So to me, this is kind of a no-brainer, guys. We've got somebody who's interested in putting tens of millions, not 1 million, not 2 million. They've been putting tens of millions. They're really looking at putting tens of $millions in Daytona Beach. This is the time we really need to give a tax abatement. This is the one. If anybody's got questions, I'm here to answer them. And Ephraim Silva is the general manager for the family, and he's the one that manages the other facilities. So if you've got questions I can't ask, I know he'll answer them. Anything?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Why is this considered a new business?
It is a new business. It's a new owner. It's not a new construction, but it's a new business.
Okay.
And we're going to end. I think purchase price is $7 million, and it's like $13 million just to fix it to where a human being will sit in it.
You still have the same, you have a very nice, or used to be very nice, area like for large gatherings and that type of thing. So we're going to have that. So we'll have those types of small conventions and that type of thing.
Correct. We're going to keep the ballroom, which accommodates about 1,000 people, and we're going to renovate that as well.
I am delighted that your percentage of hiring gold for Daytona Beach is 100%.
And I'll go for all our properties.
It's tough, as we know.
Mr. Chairman, if I can go through the application further.
Sure, go ahead.
You'll remember Mr. Silva has been before us before, and I may bring some additional business regarding his first stanza here a little later. We had to get in place a vehicle that we could assist that particular property. The difference here is that we have a valuation from the property appraiser's office now. We did not have an evaluation for the previous property, but we will work to get that done. If you look on page 2, you see that the key personnel, Ephraim Silva, Ken Berthium, Annie Ekstrom, have been in the business 20 or more years, so that gives us pretty much good confidence. If you note also D on that same page, they're looking at another property in St. Augustine, Florida, and the incentives that we may grant today are important to their decision, or recommended, I should say. G, it is located in just about all of the targeted areas for development. Moving on to page 3, they're going to create 76 new jobs. The cumulative payroll over the 7-year period of exemption that's recommended is $14,960. They're investing about $20 million is budgeted about that. You can see that on the 6. Let's see. Moving on to page 4, the current percentage of their employees that are number 12, they're Daytona Beach residents, there's 97%. So I have every good confidence that they're going to reach that 97 to 100% of employees in the new venture. Those are just some of the things I'd like to point out to you. If you see what's attached, we do have the property appraiser's report. You don't have this yet, David.
Okay.
The property appraiser's report over that period is $181,887. So that's what's before you today.
Okay, so we will be abating $181,887 in taxes for the city of Daytona Beach for 7 years.
That's correct.
Okay. And in regard to that, we will have a new census at the maximum of 76 persons, and total average wage would be 30,000 plus benefits, right? 30,000
Correct.
plus benefits,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Any discussion on this matter?
I live near your property, the Holiday Inn, magnificent, beautiful, and your other properties. You did a very good job.
Okay.
May I ask a really hard question?
You can ask
Back
any-
to hard questions. I guess.
Hard question. I like hard questions.
On the benefit packages, I mean, you know, what's come up in the news so much lately, and people cutting back to the part-time employees, and, you know, so that they can, I'm hoping y'all aren't even thinking about that, or,
We're using leased employees, right?
Correct, we use leased employees for the hotel primarily. In the off-season, we cut back 3 months out of the year, but 9 months out of the year, we're 100% staff.
okay.
But they are full-time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like what we do. We do the same thing. We have benefits by virtue of leasing our employees that I can't afford if I didn't lease the employees.
It's just a bothersome issue for me, you know, especially in this community, and so, thank you.
Okay. I'm entertaining a motion for approval of the matter before us, which would be the request for exemption of ad valorem tax for the company would be 900 North Atlantic Avenue LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. We very much appreciate your good support, and I think you'll be very proud of the product that our client puts in there.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. Emery was very helpful in this whole process. Thank you.
We'll give him a gold star.
Good to see you.
I need to talk to you later about the
Hey, thank you all. Well, that's one of the things we need when people come into town, especially with the 2 conventions we're going to have in 17 and 18. Make sure that we have, you know, good rooms for them. And since we've got rid of the spring breakers, pretty much got rid of them. I remember 1988, I couldn't even get out of my house. It was so busy. And so thankfully, you know, we've gotten through that period of our time, and now we're seeking higher added value visitors, not only, you know, and we're not talking about, you know, the Naples set, but we're talking about folks who come here. I was down at the boardwalk the other night, and it was absolutely packed. It was Saturday night. I mean, it was absolutely, because I wanted to check out the new roller coaster.
Did you go on it?
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
It's good, yeah. It's you know, you have to have a small one there, but it's good, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it'll keep, yeah. Yeah, and what I'm saying is, as you have more of those types of things, and people have things to do, they have places to eat, things to do, they'll hang around, and they'll spend their money. Yeah, and I know the Ocean Walk folks were happy. Went up to that new place, I guess they had a My Pie or Pie or whatever it is. Yeah, it was packed. I mean, it's just nice to see that. For years, you could walk through there, throw a bowling ball, and nobody would not get hit. Okay.
Mr. Sloan called. He could not be here this morning. He
Yeah,
does apologize.
I'd like to talk about the Fentress Boulevard discussion a little bit, and it's kind of a brainstorm or whatever. What I'd like to is ask Tim.
Yes.
If Tim would take ownership of this as a subcommittee, and because trying to get people here on Wednesday morning is a little difficult or whatever. What I think we might want to look at, I know Bruce Teeters is very, he buttonholed me at Quarterback Club the other night. He's got a lot of opinions about it. I know that Ed Schwartz, I saw him the other day, he wants to get involved in it, you know, and of course you work for Ed. You know, maybe get Mike Cotton, a couple of the owners up there, and maybe I'd like to get a couple of the manufacturers, you know, in that area to really and let's look at that whole area now, and not only from signage, but from just maintenance curb appeal, I don't know, you know, they need to bring up the issues, but you definitely know the difference there. And we had another business move from there to west of Mason, which is fine. It's in Daytona Beach, and we still get ad valorem tax money and all that from it. But that could have just easily gone to Port Orange or Timbuktu, okay? And part of that, I think, is you know, in owning an older park like I do, maintenance issues are just crazy. I mean, it's always something going on. You always have to be out there working on it. And it's harder to keep an older property 30, 40 years old. And that's about how old that is. Some of the buildings probably maybe even 50 years old. They're built in the 60s. So if you would take that on and see if you could get a meeting. I'd like to be, you know, there, but I don't have time to take the ownership of it totally, because we got a couple more other issues here, you know, and that I'd like to get started. And that way we could have, I'd just like to have a list of what needs to be done, or what the owners think needs to be done, and then maybe how that's going to be done. You know, it could, you know, so if you would do that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
And we'd just call that the Fentress Initiative Subcommittee, or however you want to call it. And I just appreciate that. And I know you got to sell for a living, and I know that takes time, but if you would do that. If that's all right with everybody?
Sure. Oh,
Okay?
great.
Okay. Let's see. Economic Development Ad valorem tax exemption guidelines?
Yes. You have that in your packet.
Right.
By the way, I just want to mention that I did go out and take a look at that sign, and yeah, it can be improved.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the persons there, they're no longer there.
They're not there.
So we'll.
Yeah, the sign is
thinking about it.
vintage 60s. It's in bad shape. If you ever go by Fentress, take a look. You know, one, you have to really look to
Yeah.
see if you got it.
It's obscured.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me go on with the guidelines. I'm looking at updating the guidelines so that it's a little bit more structured. If you will, the business that we voted on today, that was approved today, follows this particular guideline that's resident within this submittal. It defines, it applies to the guidelines. The city commission can apply these guidelines or depart from them as they deem in the city's best interest. Sometimes we have to juice it up in order to be of interest to the company, so we want that great flexibility. So it'll all be compliant with Florida statutes. Defines what a new business is, defines an existing business that is expanding, goes through various pieces there. And get to the procedure on page 3. It kind of talks about how you submit the application in Word format. What happens, typically, even in this case, the application comes into me and is a PDF or something I can't work with, and it's filled out completely wrong. And so I have to go back and forth to try to get the application together, and that's causes to delay the application in some instances. I can't send it over to the property appraiser's office without it being.
If you send it to
Good
me
product.
in a PDF form, I'll be glad to convert it to rich text.
No, I'm.
You don't want to do that.
Oh, you
no.
know?
I don't want to do that. What I'd like
okay.
to do is work with it until I have a finished product, send it to the applicant, have them okay it, and then we have the official one here. Okay, so anyway, ultimately, you guys make a recommendation to the city commission. City commission, I should say, ultimately then approves or modifies the recommendation. The stuff on beginning at the bottom of page 3, 4, and 5, takes the average annual wage and kind of distributes it, higher or lower, to result in a higher or lower amount, depending upon how much annual average wage is produced. We try, I noticed an article in the News Journal that talked about, I think it was an editorial, talked about what was happening over in another city and saying that the average annual wage was well below what ours was in the county, and why were they giving economic development incentives? In the economic development world, sometimes you got to do that to make a project work. Sometimes it's important to locate that project where it's going to be located in order to stimulate other things to happen in that area. But so that stands on its own.
Well, yeah, the other thing is the way to look at it, Emery, I think, and Keith, and you tell me if I'm wrong, there's various sectors that our economy seems to be very comfortable in, okay? Tourism being one. I'm sure the average tourist full-time wage equivalent is below $30,000 a year. I don't know what it would be. I could ask it. I could call Evelyn Fine and ask her, okay? And she'd probably tell us. The problem is that I think a lot of times we get our mind wrapped around this $100,000 a year type of thing, or $75,000. This company came in and $75,000 job. You can't find a $75,000 job in hospitality unless it's a manager, work, and a couple key people. I mean, they're just not there. But when you average them out, and you can bring up a housekeeping job, and instead of paying $15,000 a year with no benefits, if you can bring that up to $20,000 a year with benefits, that's a lot better for that person. Okay, and so we have to look at our economy and be able to stimulate that economy to have nicer properties where we're hiring quality people with good backgrounds. I mean, we've got Bethune-Cookman University over here has got a whole university, a whole department in their business department that can bring those quality people out and train them, okay? And that's how you get the synergies going and make it work for this area. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not as stuck even when I was in economic development before through the county. I wasn't really stuck around that issue because you have to look at sectors. You're not going to look at the construction sector and say I'm going to pay some framing carpenter $100,000 a year. You just couldn't do it. But if you bring him up $5,000 a year and give him benefits, you've helped change that man's life or person's life. So. I'm sorry.
That's okay. This allows us to go below the AMI if certain other conditions are being met. That is, that the capital investment is large enough, the creation of jobs is large enough. So that's what's built in here. And again, it is a framework. It's something that can guide us as we go forward. And we're going to kind of work it just a little bit and then present it to the City Commission. Again, the City Commission can depart from this framework as they deem it's in the city's best interest. So that's what we want.
Okay. All right. Do we need a vote on this?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
You want us to vote?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
that would be
we need
helpful.
to have a motion to accept the city guidelines on economic development. Now, these are guidelines because the state statute allows you to do 100% of that municipality's ad valorem taxes for up to 10 years. So if there ever came a project in here that asked for that, you could say it's not within the city guidelines, but it's within the state law. So these are the guidelines, and that we'll be working under. Emery will be working under for the remainder. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. That's the unanimous vote.
That's it.
Yep.
Is that helpful?
That's it. Look, I want to, if I can, Mr. Chairman, are we under old business? now?
Yeah, I was just reminded that I didn't report on the Vision Foundation, and I'll report on that next month. Okay? Go ahead.
Under old business, it's not here, but we need to pick a date or time. We're going to do the economic trends report. I was looking at my calendar, and what I thought of was the first week of January. It's the first full week of January. I'm still learning to. Okay. I was looking at somewhere either that week of the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, the week of the 6th. And I just need to start having some.
How much time are we going to need?
How much time
Carol,
are we going to
what do
need?
you think?
Well, you mean to put this thing together,
No, how much time for the event? An
Oh,
hour?
well, a couple of hours. We always try to have something. We wanted to make this event a little bit more meat on it, you know, than we've typically done before, but it would always be just a 2 or 2.5 hour.
Yeah.
Front
I think
time
we've
frame.
always aimed at 2 hours, and we tried to bring it in under that, but it typically comes
It goes
comes
a
around
little longer.
with
This-
everything.
Yeah.
If we're talking about doing excuse me for talking.
No, go ahead.
If we're talking about doing a meal with it, 2 hours is a good deal, because we'll go ahead and get the introductions done. We'll go right into the.
Because last year,
into
we
the
were going to
program.
try to, and you still want to try to do it here, like we talked about with some kind of reception or the police.
Let me take a look at that.
Yeah, look at it again.
I'd started exploring going to the yacht club or out to LPGA as a breakfast or something like that. Seems to work well for eggs and issues. But I just need to have consensus from you guys.
Oh, you know, that's a good idea.
That's a doggone
That
good
is a
idea.
great idea. The
Eggs and issues, that's how we do it. Where's Jim?
Yeah.
Jim? We need, okay,
Yeah,
Jim
Jim.
said it's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell Jim, because he missed today,
That's it.
that
He's
he got
volunteered.
volunteered. That's the way to do it. That's absolutely
That's
the way
a
to do it.
super idea.
You got, and I know this far out, they'll be looking for a program that would be
Okay.
good. Now, you can't do 2.5 hours. You're going to have to do it in an
It
hour.
will be a shorter thing and we.
So you have to do an hour,
Yeah.
so.
We can do what.
But you can do a
Issues
panel
does.
discussion, panel presentation discussion? That would be good.
When does the News Journal give out their report?
That's
What?
the October thing. We were waiting for them to finish
I
up
want to say it's
their.
in October, November.
Right.
Okay.
That was the
No, I'm
reason that
sorry.
we pushed it
It
into
doesn't.
January,
Yeah.
February, so that we could.
It's January, isn't it?
That's what I
That's why
thought
we
they-
pushed it into January. I think so, right? Because we had it in October, and it was going to be new information as of January. So
As of
I will
January.
double check with them. I think it's January.
Well, I think what she told us last time is it's a year-end type thing that they put together for their projection for the year, and they typically have it done in November and December. That's why we were
Okay,
jumping
I
into
got you.
January. to
Are you
do it.
talking about having the
The
News
News
Journal be
Journal
part of
reporting
it? Okay.
it, absolutely. I think that's the biggest part of it, I think, with people.
Rob, when is the,
Want to attend.
will there be a 4Q report at that time, sometime?
The next Q report is Friday, the 7th or 8th of November, and then I don't have the date of the first calendar year quarter is probably near the first week of February.
Well, that would be on the 10th, so as long as we stayed away from the 10th of that week, we should be okay.
Okay, now the eggs and issues are usually on Friday morning.
So we'll do ours on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm talking about doing the eggs
No,
and
the
issues.
Eggs and issues.
We're talking about combining with Jim.
Oh, combining with you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we got excited, because we thought, all right, the Eggs and
Yeah.
issues is already a
Yeah,
set-up
so
thing.
Jim has been volunteered.
Gotcha.
I heard him. You know, you can hear that
That's what happens
Alabama
when you
yell,
don't
rebel
come.
yell from here.
We just need to check with Jim and
Yeah.
get this as far as an agenda item, and that will be, because we can use
Okay.
all of their marketing power and
Sure.
everything
Sure.
to get a few people to come.
That works. Okay, I will start working on that. I just needed a direction. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, I was gonna bring that up, but
Oh, sorry.
I didn't wanna, I'm glad you did.
Okay. So we have any other old business?
Just a quick question, where's the land development code thing? I have not gotten any information on that lately.
I have not seen a new version come back out, and so that's the reason for no meetings. They did have a big come to Jesus meeting, but nothing's happened since.
Well, let me give you a little, because I've been attending the VCARD meetings.
Oh, VCAR.
VCARD has been having almost 2 meetings a month. And we finished it up. I was not present the last one because I was out of town, but we finished it up a few weeks ago. It has been submitted to the
Clarion?
to Clarion.
Yeah, well, I knew that part.
And
then
because there were a
and then it
lot of,
stopped.
there was a lot
Yeah.
of changes.
Yeah.
Not substantive changes so much. There were some changes, but a lot of, well, did you really think of this, or can you explain that, and that type of thing. And I really think that that having the development and especially the engineering corps that we have with Zev Cohen and different engineer companies behind it will help it be more accepted in the communities. I think the VCARD did a tremendous service by doing this because you'll get immediate buy-in when you have the folks that actually use it on a day-to-day basis. What I'm hoping, Emery, will come out of this, and I'm not sure it will, but I'm hoping that the general public will have an easier time to be, and I'm talking about the smaller businessman or the smaller contractor and that type of thing that'll take some of the need for doing a lot of exemptions and this type of thing, which causes a lot of staff time and that type of thing. Plus, I hope that the staff is trained in it so that they will understand it and be very customer friendly in portraying it. Because one of the things that a lot of cities have is a real specter that when somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing walks in the city, it's mainly, no, you can't do that type of attitude, and just prove to me that you can, and that type of thing. So that we need to really work on that. I just hope those things are part of the city's effort in doing this too, because that's how the public perceives us and how the experts perceive us. It has a lot to do with our credibility and our ability to function, and I just hope that that's part of the city manager's plan after.
Well, I didn't mean to start something here.
No.
The last meeting I went to, they laid all this out, and they were going to be waiting on VCARD to in there, but the point was to try to get it done September, October, and then by the end of the year be able to implement it. And I don't think we're going to get there.
I'll give you an update on that. I will just speak to one point. It is a great concern to the city as well as the city commission that we are kinder, more informed, and more courteous. And there are certain steps being taken to make sure that happens.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times we get something new, it's hard on the employees because it's different, and it's generally a training issue. Okay, any old business, new business, public comment? I think anything else? If not, we're adjourned.